Well, hello. There's always this awkward moment on YouTube Lives where I think that I'm live, but YouTube hasn't yet told me I'm live, and I just sit staring blankly, knowing I'm sitting staring blankly at the screen. But we're live now, and so thank you for joining me. This is a one-take tutorial, which is something I'm trying where I do sort of a live workshop, but there's no one watching me yet because I'm recording this for you live. I am not going to edit this. I'm just going to do this brief workshop for you and then put in some timestamps and hope that you find some practical information you can use within it. So I'm not a video editor and I'm not trying to be a video editor. I'm an ukulele teacher and player, and I would just like to share information with other people out there. I also create content for my Patreon patrons. And so if you're interested in supporting the work that I do or in getting more behind the scenes stuff, perks and bonuses, please check me out over there. There are also some public posts on Patreon that talk about the public play-alongs that I do online that anybody can join. Some are on YouTube, some are on Zoom. You're welcome to mix and match. So today I want to talk to you for this very first one-take tutorial. I want to talk to you about playing a baritone ukulele with the traditional DGBE tuning when you're coming from the background of having learned to play with a GCEA ukulele tuning. So many of us have either high G or low G ukuleles, and I'm not going to go into that at length, but basically high G is that re-entrant, my dog has fleas kind of tune. And then there's also the low G. This is a concert, but many people have low G tenors. Same tuning except for that G string, which is an octave lower. That's why it's called low G. And the notes are not re-entrant. They go in order from lowest to highest as you strum string 4 through 1. Now, so playing those two high G or low G tunings is very similar. The same shapes have the same names. You just have slightly different tones depending on whether you're playing high or low G. You can tune a GCEA instrument different ways. And for example, when I'm trying to make a song fit my voice vocally, I might tune it up or down a half or a whole step in order to kind of tweak the key a little bit and make it fit my vocal range better. But DGBE is a very different tuning and one that is hard sometimes to move to when you've learned GCEA. And again, that's who this video is for, is people who are comfortable with the chord shapes and names of the C tuning, which is what GCEA is called, and who are looking to play a baritone because they love the sound, but want to be able to say, to kind of figure out how that interacts with these GCEA shapes and names that they already know. So I'm going to be talking about shapes and I'm going to be talking about chords, and they're different, right? Because if you're playing a baritone and you already know how to play GCEA ukulele, you already know all the shapes that are correct. You will play the same shapes, but they will have different names because of the tuning, because this DGBE tuning is so different from GCEA. So we're going to talk about it in a couple of senses. One is that if you are playing by yourself, you can play exactly what's written on the GCEA chord charts that you might have. The same shapes again, will translate to your instrument. You will be playing in a different key. This can work to your advantage. You can use the instrument as a sort of automatic transposition tool. And this is not me telling you don't learn to transpose. Transposing is a great thing to know how to do, and I could make a whole video on that alone. But one of the things that playing baritone can do is take a song that maybe is a little too high for you, but you like the chord shapes. And again, I'm not saying don't learn more chord shapes, but sometimes some of them just are easier for us, or we may have limited mobility in certain ways with our hands. If you are like the way that you're playing a particular song on a GCEA instrument and you're wanting to translate that directly to baritone, you will be playing in a different key. Now, what key you're playing in is one of those things that you might want to learn how to figure out. So that's one of the things we're going to talk about. But it's good to know, for example, that if you have learned, say, Somewhere Over the Rainbow, a very popular song to learn as a beginner, many people learn it in C. It's quite high. Somewhere over, that's not, then the keys, the chords continue. Somewhere over the rainbow. It's not just C chord all the way through, but that's the key. If you play that on your baritone starting out on that C shape, you're not playing in C, spoiler alert, that's a G. Somewhere over the rainbow. You're singing that lower. So when you get to the especially high part, say you're singing it like is, then you're not going to have to, for me, it would be blast my upstairs neighbors with the high notes. So you can take a song down lower automatically just by playing those same shapes in their same spots on your baritone. So that's one way that you can use the baritone. And in fact, one of the first things I did when I bought my baritone was think to myself, what are the song sheets that I have that I maybe they're PDFs and I haven't bothered to transpose them yet, or I really like playing them in a certain shape, either because I'm finger picking in a certain style, or I like the way the chords move, but it's a little too high for me, and try them on the baritone. Maybe it made it too low, or maybe it's still not quite right, but it's fun to be able to find that there are some songs that just click right away that maybe didn't click for you on GCEA, especially if you're singing along, but maybe you just like the tone more, and I would flag those in my songbook and say, oh, I like this one on baritone just as written. It doesn't matter to me that I'm playing a G instead of a C, because I actually like it better in that case. So that's one way that you can do it. Now, if you're playing with other people, I think the other piece of this is that you won't be able to get away with playing the same shapes as everyone else, because if everyone around you is playing a GCEA strung instrument and you play the same shape as them, you'll be way out of tune and you will not sound correct or good. So it is best to learn how to transpose from the chords that are given to you on the GCEA sheet to what you're going to actually need to play, the shape you're going to need to play on the baritone. I think that ultimately what is probably most helpful is if you're able to hold both things as true in your head at once, so that you can say, oh, I need to play a C in this song, and if I'm playing it on my GCEA instrument, it's this shape. And if I'm playing it on my baritone, to just have it memorized that it's this shape, and not even think of that as an F, because on the baritone it is a C, that's probably most helpful to get that into your memory. But there's a transition time, I feel like, for most of us, in which we don't have that in our memory yet. We don't have our muscle memory of how these chords relate to each other, or our brain muscle memory. So I think that having some tips or some tricks to get from one to the other can be helpful. And you may need to make some notation on the piece of paper before you start. You may need to have a chord chart for baritone printed out and in your case or in your songbook, or as a PDF on your tablet. You should do whatever works for you. You need a little cheat sheet. You need to have one of those wrist coaches with the little, clear plastic that you slip a piece of paper into, so you can check, oh, they're playing an A, so I need to play this shape. You can do something like that. But I'm going to teach you real quickly here, because I'm trying to keep these videos a little shorter. I'm going to teach you real quickly a few things that you can think about as you're doing this. So without getting into too much music theory, let me switch over to sharing information on the whiteboard screen here, and we'll just talk about this real quick. All right, so the chords, when you are playing any instrument, I'm sorry, not the chords, the notes for any music go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, from lowest to highest. Many people will think of it as starting on C. That's also fine, really, because as you go higher and higher, or lower and lower, the letters just repeat. So you would go A, B, C, D, E, again, and you would keep going. So it would continue. So whatever your stopping and ending point is, it doesn't really matter. It's just nice to know that the notes go alphabetically. So you're going to have A, B, and this is true for notes. This is true for chords. They go in this sort of order. Now, when you are looking at a GCEA chord sheet and everybody around you is going to be playing a C, as I was just saying, if you played that shape on your instrument, you would actually be playing a G chord, which is why it would not sound correct. And without getting into the music theory of it, the rule of thumb for looking at the GCEA chords and thinking, what GCEA shape do I need to make on my baritone to make the same sound, or it won't be exactly the same tones, but it'll be the same chord, is to count up 4 in this alphabet that repeats. So if A was 1 and I need to count to 4, I would count A, B, C, D, and I would play my GCEA D shape, which is an A on the baritone. So I don't want to say you're playing a D because you're not. You're playing the shape you may have learned as a D, but it's actually an A. So if everyone around you is playing this A shape, you need to play what you think of as a D shape to play the A. Now the top note is different, and that's because of the different tuning, so it won't sound exactly the same, but it'll be harmonious. It's the same chord. Then let's count up 4 from our B. B, C, D, E. Now you may start to see a pattern emerge as we go down this column. We count up 4 from C. C, D, E, F. It's going in order, right? So it's just going to continue in order, and you can draw a little chart for this for yourself. Remember, when you get to G, you have to start over. Now, the other thing to know, and again, we're not going to get into the music theory of it, is that the F actually relates to a B flat. So I'm sorry that seems a little confusing, but then we're back to C here at the bottom. So we've got A, B, C, D, E, F, G down one side, we've got D, E, F, G, and then it starts over A, B flat, C down the other side. And just remember, it's a B flat, not a C. So this is going to be how you can transpose the shapes. So that if I see my friends around me are all playing the C chord and I need to play a C chord, but I can't play the shape that my brain thinks is C. If I was playing a GCEA instrument, I need to play the shape my brain thinks is an F, and that is actually a C. Again, different high note, but it's the same chord. So you can use that, you can try to memorize that. I actually created for myself a little poem with a little rhyme that I use, that I'm trying to memorize so that I can remember the relationships between these words and between these chords. And it's not the sort of thing that I think you need to memorize what I wrote, but you might like to make up your own mnemonic device if that helps you to have that kind of a rhyming or alphabet initial kind of related memory device. Here's the one that I used. Amy Darling, this is A to D, is her name. I made a little story that rhymes. It's ridiculous, but this is what helps me memorize things. If this is not the sort of tool that helps you, then just skip it. And I would encourage you to write your own, because it'll be more likely that you will create mental pictures that make sense for you and that are fun for you to remember if you write your own. Amy Darling is her name. The bee that stung her end was tame. See here, friends, it's classic fun. Derek Grant, he was the one. So that's D to G, meaning I see that my friends are going to play a D. I need to play the G shape in order to play a D. Ever angry, Amy pleads, then flings the B flat. See, I got the flat in there. Flings the B flat in the weeds. And here's a little throwaway line to make it work as rhyming couplets. To you, this may mean nothing, though. Here's the last one. Our Mr. G, there's my G, did see a show. So for me, because I can also sing this to the tune of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star with an extra 2 lines at the end, it's something I'm working on memorizing. Amy Darling is her name, the bee that stung her end was tame. See here, friends, it's classic fun. Derek Grant, he was the one. Ever angry, Amy pleads, then flings the B flat in the weeds. To you, this may mean nothing, though our Mr. G did see a show. Again, write your own. You don't need to use mine, but I found that really useful. So think about something like that as a memory device to help you link, I'm playing an A, but I need to play what I think is a D shape. And then eventually, hopefully that translates into, you're playing a D shape that you used to think was a D shape, but you know it's an A. So count up 4, use a chart like that, make a memory device for yourself. Those are all things that could work. Or you could just have something that you print out from the internet, of course, would be fine too. I often find writing it out myself helps me solidify what's going on a little bit better. So the other thing I want to talk about real quickly is what I mentioned before, which is what if I'm playing, say, the F shape, and I want to know, okay, but what chord am I actually playing? Because I really like this key, and I know I'm not actually in F. What key am I in? Because when I go back to my maybe tenor that's strung GCEA, I want to play it in this key, and I want to transpose my music. Well, for this, you could use the chart we've already drawn and work backwards. So I could look on the right-hand side there, see the F shape, look at the left column and say, oh, I'm actually playing a C. The other thing you can do is to count up 5. So we counted up 4 when we were trying to see what shape should we actually play. You can count up 5 to see what am I actually playing. So for example, if we're playing a C shape, or what we think of as C in the GCEA universe, we can count C, D, E, F, G, and see, oh, that's actually what I'm playing. When I play that 0003, I'm actually playing a G. And I just want to put this into practice with you with a song with a very easy repeating chord pattern. So when I first got my baritone, one of the songs I had been playing on my GCEA instrument was Simon and Garfunkel's Feelin' Groovy, or the 59th Street Bridge song. Now the chord pattern for that is, now let me play it on my other instrument, because I was playing it on GCEA in this key to begin with. C and a G, D7, G. Slow down, you move too fast. You got to make the morning last. Just so I thought that key was fine. Let me try playing it on my baritone. I got my baritone, I tuned it up. I played it with those same shapes to see what it would sound like. I was playing by myself. I didn't have to worry about anybody harmonizing with me. Slow down, you move too fast. You got to make the morning last. You can hear that's lower in my voice and in the instrument, but not just because it's lower sounding strings. It's actually a lower key. So I am not playing C, G, D7, and G. I am playing those shapes from my GCEA universe, but what I'm actually playing, if we count up to 5 or use the chart backwards, is we just did C. I'm actually playing G, and then let's use the chart for this. If I look at the line where it says G and I look back on the left-hand column, it's a D. Now for D7, I could count again, D, E, A, B, C. Wait, I need to count. Yes. So it goes D7, D. I did this backwards when I practiced this earlier, so I'm doing it in the other order now, and that's why it's confusing me. D, E, F, G, A. I also counted it wrong. All right, and then we already did G, so it's D. So I'm actually playing G, D, A7, D. And let me try to show that to you. If I play the same shapes I was just playing, the C, G, D7, G, if I were playing on GCEA, those shapes, it was a low, slow down, you move too fast. Now if I take my traditionally strung C tuned and play G, D, A7, D, which are the chords I was actually playing, slow down, you move too fast. Can you hear that's the same? So that's what I'm actually playing on the baritone. If I play the first line of shapes, I'm actually playing the second line of chords or sounds. And so, but what if I wanted to be playing C, G, D7, G on my baritone, because I was playing with my friend and she was playing C, G, D7, G. Then I would do the count up 4 method, count up 4 to find the shape from the GCEA universe that works on my baritone. So counting up C, D, E, F, I would go F. Then let's look at the chart and we'll do it that way. On the left-hand side, I see the G, and I want to play a G, so I see on the right-hand side, I need to play a C shape from GCEA. Then the next one is D7 I want to play, so I'm going to count D, E, F, G. I'm just showing you there's several different ways you can do this, and then we already did the D, it's just repeated, so there's C there. So on my baritone, again, if my friend is playing GCEA on her concert, this is back to the high, slow down, you move too fast. Now, if I play that third line of shapes, we got to make the morning last, just kicking down the cobblestones, looking for fun and feeling groovy. So that's how you can use that chart, that little simple chart on the left, to go up 4 or back 5. You can count it, you can use the chart, you can do whatever works for you, whether it's because you want to know what you're playing or whether it's because you want to play the same thing as everyone else, you can use that technique. So I hope you find that helpful. Again, I know that I didn't cover everything we possibly could have said about this topic, but I really just wanted to talk about approaching baritone if you've already learned, basically all, you don't have to know all of the shapes, obviously, but so many GCEA shapes that's the chord language you speak in. And you're trying to make it so that you can figure out how to play with other people while getting to play your fun baritone, but also figure out where you are on your baritone so that eventually our brains can say, oh, I'm actually playing a G when you play that shape you used to think of as C. And then maybe we can even go back and forth and our brains can hold both. I believe that can be the case. So thank you very much for joining me. I'm going to do more of these one-take tutorials and try to keep them as useful and practical as possible without me having to do a lot of editing. Let me know if you have suggestions for topics or songs I've covered you want me to teach pieces or entire things of, and I will try to make some more public tutorials in the same fashion. Have a great day. And now we'll see the awkward moment where I turn off the live and we'll see how long it actually takes for it to turn off.